Welcome to the quietest ones in the room with your host, Trey. I gotta say it, just the fact that you've clicked onto this video and you're listening to the sound of my voice, you by far are the most intelligent people on the face of the planet. So once again, thank you for joining me. So I have a video that I want to play, and what it's doing in this video is giving context to the current housing market and how some things are playing out that are actually keeping the average everyday American from being able to buy a home. So I want to play this video and then I want to talk about it from my perspective. Here we go.
Companies like Blackstone that are coming into communities, buying up homes, not to sell them to the next bidder or the next family, but to literally take them off the market for a generation and make us a generation of renters, make us a generation of slaves. Because you can never truly embrace the American dream if you don't have the ownership in your own home. That is the number one asset. That's how we grow our wealth over time, is the promise of home ownership. And so when Blackstone, enabled by Chinese hedge funds, Chinese institutional investors, that's among who Blackstone counts as their investors, coming into our communities, buying our homes, literally taking them off the market for as far as the eye can see, and not letting you or I buy them. If you go to Blackstone and say, hey, I want to buy that home that you just got, I'll give you 20% more than what you just paid for it, they will tell you no. What they will tell you is you can rent it. You can become our slave. And you know what? We got rid of slavery a long time ago in this country. Slavery is unacceptable. It is an absolute sin. It is not fair to force American families out of the promise of home ownership when they've saved up for it to become slaves to Blackstone, which was enabled by Chinese investment proceeds.
All right, so this gentleman was obviously talking about Blackstone. And I want to point this out. You definitely lose me when you start comparing Blackstone and the wealthy of the world and in this country purchasing homes so that you have to be a renter and comparing it to slavery. That makes absolutely no sense. But if we get past that, we can point out that he's actually making some valid insights that I've actually talked about on this channel. One of the things that we do need to realize as it pertains to how the wealthy operate, and he pointed it out in this video, is once they purchase assets, they don't let them go. It is very rare that when the wealthy buy assets that they let them go, because that is how they build their wealth, through assets and debt. So when we think about what this gentleman was talking about in this video, I realized that, yes, while foreign entities are involved in the purchasing of many of American homes, the real issue is wealthy individuals in America working with private investment to purchase homes from under the American citizens. So what we often see is, and I know from particularly during the pandemic, it was seen and noted by many that during the pandemic, if you were going to purchase a home, many people were getting outbidded by American private investment firms. These investment firms were buying up townhomes, starter homes, your single family homes, just to make a profit over time. Because the interest rates were so low, it was a great opportunity for many of these investment firms to get into purchasing as much real estate as they possibly could. And that's what we're really looking at. We're really looking at an America where investment firms are purchasing large amounts of property, and the average American can't pay those prices, so therefore the investment firms are, but the average American can't afford the home, so they're relegated to renting. And look, there's nothing wrong with renting, but if you want to purchase a home and you can't afford it, and we continue to see that happen as we move forward into the future, we know that we have a real issue in this country, because most people, as this guy noted in the video, most people build their wealth through home ownership. It is one of the greatest ways in America to build wealth. And during the pandemic, we saw how many people who had had homes prior to the pandemic instantly became wealthier. We're talking about people who were selling their homes that they bought for $300,000 in some cities, then selling those homes for $700,000, even $1 million at some point during the asset prop up. So what we're starting to notice is if you're the average everyday American in this country and you're not making at least $120,000 in this country, you can't even afford the average home price of $400,000. So it's ultimately coming down to, what does the future of America look like when we think about young people wanting to own homes? And on top of that, I want to point out this, and I've talked about this in my previous videos, the housing market crash that everyone is calling for. This gentleman actually just pointed out why that is unlikely to take place. Because if the average American cannot afford the homes, there's enough money domestically and with foreign entities to purchase the homes in America to then rent them out to U.S. citizens. And think about it this way. If Americans can't afford the rent, no worries, because a lot of these private investment firms have already made their money from Freddie and Fannie. And so if you don't know how the real estate industry works, I definitely would suggest you do some research on it. But essentially, there's so much wealth in this country that even if the average American struggles to pay the mortgage and the rent, there is no housing market crash coming anytime soon. There is so much money and wealth in the system. And this is something to think about, especially if you're looking to purchase a home. I say it's still a great time, even with the interest rates as high as they are. It's always a great time to purchase a home if you can afford it. But anyhow, I wanted to bring that to you. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.